In this exercise, we're going to merge and texture all portions of our star except for the interior of that R. That'll be the only thing outstanding. And along the way, I'll introduce you to a couple of attributes that are essential for creating metallic effects, and those are gloss and shine. I've saved my progress as extrudedorangestar.psd, and I've got my holes layer selected here inside the Layers panel. I'm going to shift-click on the balls layer to select it as well, then go to the 3D menu and choose Merge 3D Layers. And something to note here, when you're assembling a 3D scene with multiple meshes, you have to merge those meshes together the way we are doing it right now in pairs, so 2 at a time. All right, I'll go ahead and choose that command, and Photoshop names the new layer after the bottom one. No sense in changing the layer name right now because we have more layers to merge. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, and I want to copy that texture from the balls and put it on the face of the star, but first I want to change the texture that I've assigned to the balls by clicking on the front inflation attribute there. And notice the gloss and shine values. They both control the highlights, so they're both essentially shininess attributes. However, gloss controls the size and spread of the highlight, and shine controls the intensity of that highlight. You're not going to get anything out of shine unless you raise the gloss value. So we'll start by taking the gloss value up to 100%, and then I'll take the shine value. Notice what that does. It turns those near spheres almost absolutely white. And I'm going to intensify and isolate those highlights by taking the shine value up to 75%. And notice then we get these small little sharp highlights that look downright metallic. And you can see a little preview here inside of the 3D panel. All right, you could do the same for the back inflation as well, but we're not seeing enough of it to worry about. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my material drop tool. And I can mimic all that stuff, the texture, the gloss and shine values, everything, by pressing the Alt key or the Option key on the Mac and clicking on one of those balls, and then clicking inside the face of the star in order to apply that effect. Now, you'll notice that there's a fair amount of orange going on here, and you may reckon that somehow Photoshop is merging this texture with the previously orange fill, and that's not the case. It's just coincidental that we're sticking with this orange theme here. All right, now I'm going to hover over the bevels and click inside of them in order to apply the texture to the bevels. All right, we're done with that. Now I'll press the M key in order to switch back to the rectangular marquee tool, and I'll click on that rear layer in order to select it, the layer called rear, that is. And we need to go ahead and extrude it as well, so we'll go to the 3D panel and choose Repoussé and choose Layer Mask and click the Yes button and wait for Repoussé to come up on screen. Now, this time around, I am going to assign a depth value, a very small depth value of 0.02. Otherwise, during the render process, it's very possible we'll see through the front material that we end up assigning to this extruded shape to the yellow below, and we'll have a bunch of weird yellow lines. So I want to avoid that problem. Otherwise, there's nothing to be done inside of this dialog box. We don't need a bevel. We don't need anything. So just go ahead and click OK in order to create that new 3D object. Now this one, I'm going to go ahead and assign a texture to in advance of merging because it won't be using the same texture. It's going to be using a darker version of that same image that I've saved in advance for you. And to get to it, go ahead and click on Rear Front Inflation, which is the only thing we have to worry about. Click on the little page icon next to the word Diffuse, choose Load Texture, navigate your way to the 3D Shapes folder, find this file, which is called darkermetal.psd. It's the same image with an adjustment layer piled on top of it, and click Open in order to fill in that texture. All right, now shift-click on the Holes layer to select it. Go up to the 3D menu and choose Merge 3D Layers. As I say, we have to build things up in pairs, and we end up getting this extraordinary effect. Now, I know we still have to render it, we still have to add some background stuff and all that, so it's nothing to whistle Dixie about so far. But here's the thing, we don't have any glaring errors. This is what's remarkable about the way that we're building this file. Normally, if you were just sort of working your way through a file, you can expect that things are just going to come apart at the seams. Like this rear face would be in front of the front face, and the balls would be in totally the wrong position. You wouldn't even know where they went because they'd be so far in back of the star that they'd be hidden. And so that's the kind of stuff that you want to keep an eye out for. That does happen. In our case, miraculously, everything just keeps plopping into the exact place. And a lot of it has to do with the fact we haven't rotated or moved a single mesh in advance of merging the scene. That helps a lot. If you start moving things before the merges, then good luck because they're going to be all over the place. And you don't have any sense of relative positioning until you perform the merge. Before that, all of the scenes are completely independent of each other, and you might have different camera angles and so forth. Anyway, we're in pretty good shape here. In the next exercise, we're going to add the interior of the R, and we'll deal with some unexpected repercussions.